everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a mission as the Driller, and I'm going to talk you through my general gameplay practice and procedure while I go through the mission. Now Driller is the most tech heavy class out of all of them, so let's go over our gear before we get started. Primary weapon is going to be a Cryo Cannon, secondary will be EPC. With that noted, let's go to our secondary equipment first of all. Impact axes for doing massive damage to frozen enemies. Barb drills for the same purpose, and then a normal drill spec other than that. 4 satchel charges with the carving upgrade. And moving to Cryo Cannon. This is just my general purpose freezing power Cryo Cannon. Going freezing power in the first tier, range for 50% more range, fire rate, max ammo because it's worth 150, and fragile for insta-killing grunts and slashers. And perfectly tuned cooler just to give us 1 more point in freezing power and 10% more in fire rate. And a pretty standard mining spec on the EPC. If you don't have the heat pipe overclock, I recommend energy rerouting. If you don't have either, you should go with this spec right here. This is also the spec you should use for energy rerouting, but once you have heat pipe, you're able to take faster charging speed in this tier and not lose any ammo efficiency. For perks, I go Thorns, Deep Pockets because I'm addicted to the space, Vampire because Driller procs a lot of melee kills, Heightened Senses because I hate leeches, and Dash because it's too good to pass up. And finally, my armor spec is my normal one that I don't have to tweak for shield disruption, mineral bag, health, no obvious upgrade, and breathing room for getting back in the fight on Hazard 5. Okay, with all that said, let's go ahead and drop into the game. So we're going to drop in here on this egg mission. 6 eggs, 12 gunk seeds, pretty standard procedure. The fights are going to be my main focus for this video though. So, by basically freezing any enemy that we don't want in a fight, we can neutralize them completely, if not kill them outright. You can see the fragile damage snap happening when they get below 100 health. This will basically insta-kill most medium health enemies. EPC mining. If you haven't seen this already, I've made a video on it before, and I'm going to make a remastered video on it soon. It can be used in great combat effect as well, if you don't have the Cryo Cannon ammo or don't feel like freezing the enemies. Freezing exploders will defuse them, of course. Okay, looks like the majority of this map is going to be down below us. Okay. Hollow bow can be pretty tricky for EPC mining with all the jagged terrain. Here's some tech I learned recently, is that you can actually block spitballer shots with the drills. This can be a little tricky on ping higher than 150 milliseconds, so use it as a last resort in that situation, but if you're the host of the game, you can do it very consistently. This will allow you to get very close to spitballers, freeze them, axe them, EPC them, whatever you need to do, with very little threat of return damage from them. Just cleaning up this first room before we move on any further. Get these eggs that are around the perimeter. Seems like the rest of the objective is down there, so we're going to grab this one egg and head over there. That way we can drop resupplies and just worry about fighting in that one area for the rest of the mission. No swarm, good. We'll be able to move over there in relative peace then. Like a decent amount of grunts coming at us now, so I'm going to try to roll them all up for a satchel charge. Just to exaggerate the example, I'm going to remove the Bosco from the fight. That's hardly enough grunts to warrant a satchel charge personally, but it'll work. So as you can see here, a lot of enemies die of fragile when they get very low on health. It's very obvious when it happens, but it's a very underappreciated upgrade by many people. Cold Radiance tends to overshadow it in a lot of situations, but it really does shine through whenever you're mobbing by yourself. I'm getting sick of this spitballer, so we're going to eliminate him. Getting Bosco to grab this egg, since that's a little bit of a sketchy ledge. And now we're going to head down. If we can find a safe way to do so. I'd rather not enter this new section of the cave right now while we have enemies spawning on us. So we'll clean this up real quick before we go down. Have a brood nexus off in the distance. 2 in fact. Thankfully Driller's very adept at handling most environmental enemy threats like that, such as spitballers, nexus, leeches. You can basically shut all of them down with a freeze and completely mitigate their negative effects. As you know, brood nexuses usually explode into swarmers when killed, but if you kill it while it's frozen, if I could actually kill it, it won't spawn any swarmers. Now what I haven't really done up to this point is use axes on bigger frozen enemies. This situation does not quite warrant an axe. I'm just going to kill him outright. This gold vein's large enough that I'm almost tempted to satchel it rather than EPC. Mactera have deceptively large hitboxes, so never be afraid to sling an EPC their way. If it clips so much as even a wingtip, it'll do the full damage and usually insta-kill them. Depending on the difficulty level and amount of players. And of course what type of Mactera it is. You actually do get the melee bonus or you do get weak spot bonus damage when meleeing the eyes of the brood nexus, so make sure you aim your drills. So here we have a stab vine. Now we're going to be able to take this out really quickly with well-timed in-place EPC mining. So right there we took out both of those, and we can sick Bosco in the last one. Technically we could have sicked him on the whole thing, but I prefer the faster, more efficient way. Ammo efficiency is a good idea, however if it slows you down so much that you're fighting more bugs and ambient waves than you need to, you'd be better off just using the ammo and finding the nitro more quickly. Speaking of such, we do need to find some nitro very soon, or we might find ourselves in a pretty desperate situation. You can get so caught up in some of these missions that you completely forget that you don't have a resupply in the bank yet, and find yourself in a very tough spot because of it. So we are going to have to leave these eggs behind for the time being while we go locate a resupply. My plan right now is to bring a resupply back, set it down in that pit, and then fight as many bugs as we can over there. There we go. Now that's a multitask EPC right there. Getting both minerals and bugs in a single shot. Okay. We will move over there and set up that fight arena at some point, but we'll go ahead and do these 2 eggs over here now. If there's no guards in a clump of grunts, you can easily EPC and wipe them all out at once. Both grunts and slashers will be instantly killed by the TCF blast. Not sure what happened there. Get as much of this objective material in as we can for now. And also in a pinch situation, you can hit Mactera with axes. It's mostly overkill, so I wouldn't recommend it, but if you're absolutely desperate to kill a Mactera or you're worried it'll hit you, it's always best to err on the side of caution and just shut it down. What holds true more in solo than anywhere else is that your health and your revives are always going to be more important than your ammo. If you have to expend all of your ammo to save your own life, it's worth it. You can always get another resupply, but there's no way to regain downs in a mission. So protecting those should be paramount. Since we've got a resupply under us now, and we're feeling a little more confident, I'll go ahead and show you a couple of the techniques I've learned recently that are a bit more niche, but still extremely useful for the driller. So recently I learned that you can actually stick a satchel charge in the air via use of a throwing axe. So if you look straight up, and then bring it down about 20 degrees, throw the satchel and then throw an axe, You can make the satchel believe that it hit the ground and just float in the air. This is particularly useful for wide, large tunnels, such as the ones created by Dreadon Escort. This will allow you to hit most of the bugs on the roof, walls, and floor at the same time. So if there's Macteras hovering in the air, this can get them and the bugs on the ground more effectively. And the other big thing I wanted to show you now before we use it later is axe throw canceling. So real quick, I'm going to throw all my axes as fast as I can. This is me just mashing the axe throw button. As you can see, there's a relatively slow tempo in between the axe throws. But if we pull out our pickaxe immediately after the axe leaves our hand, we can actually throw them much faster and more consistently. This is useful in a couple of situations. For example, whenever you get a freeze on an oppressor, he unfreezes very quickly. An oppressor can be killed in 2 axes when frozen. However, normally you don't have time to throw 2 axes. But with this cancel, you actually can throw 2 axes out in one single freeze. So that's what we refer to as one cycling an oppressor. This prevents using more cryo on him and overall saves you ammo. Hopefully we'll see an oppressor in this mission so I can show you that trick. But if we don't, just know that it works. It's a very sneaky barley bulb out there. As I said before, most of our mission objectives are in this room. And I know we have 2 swarms remaining. So more than likely we're going to get a swarm here. There we go. And just for the sake of viewing some good combat footage, I'm going to go ahead and pull another egg now, and we're going to throw down. If you have more than 4 axes at any given time, remember to throw your axes off to the side so that you can not lose them when you resupply. So now I can come back and scoop these up whenever I need more. Some of my own advice that I don't follow: be careful when shooting charge shots at Mactera because they can blow them up in your face. It's always a good idea to leech some health off of frozen enemies to keep yourself topped up. If you're extremely low, it might not be a good idea to get close to them, but if you need a little bit of health in a pinch, it's always a good idea. Getting absolutely pelted by ranged enemies right now. Some free health is coming our way in form of these exploders, so I'm going to distract Bosco so he doesn't eliminate them before they get close to us. So we're just going to very quickly drill all those up, easy 20 health. And now we're going to bring Bosco back into the fight. Vampire should not be ignored as a perk for Driller, considering how often you're finishing enemies with melee, because both your axes, drills, and normal power attacks are considered melee damage and will proc Vampire. So a lot of your major combat effects will heal you. Still have a couple more Jadas laying around that we need to get as well. As you can see, most of our big AoE hits don't actually kill a guard in one shot, so keep that in mind. Unless they're frozen, they're probably going to survive any big attack you throw at them. So this is a lot of material in one place, so we could EPC mine all this down, or we can just blow it up with one satchel and get the most of it in one go. Once again, it's not as ammo efficient as pickaxing it all down or shooting it multiple. We really need to think about the time efficiency of what we're doing, both in the broad scheme of things and in mission, because the longer we stay here, the more ambient waves we're fighting. But also, there's only so much time in a day in the real world, and you know, you don't want to spend all your time here in this one mission. And I know we currently have 2 eggs pulled that haven't been deposited, so I'm going to figure out what those are now. I'm going to move these to our next objective before I take ammo. Yep. And I know that our last egg is going to be a swarm. However, since it is also our last egg, we can just bail out instead of fighting the swarm. Why did you get up? I don't know. But for the sake of the video, I am going to fight out this next swarm. Also, in a pinch, you can always EPC mine an egg out of the wall. However, for this, I usually prefer to go with Bosco, as it is usually pretty inefficient to do with EPC, and also a bit slower. You can usually have Bosco get it out while you're doing something else anyways. Such as, I could have been mining that gold and nitro while Bosco was retrieving the egg, so a bit of a misplay on my part, but it was worth showing it. I'm sure. Also, in a recent update, Kroner shellbacks actually now take the frozen damage buff, so even though they don't technically freeze, they do take triple damage, so you can usually kill them in one axe. You should always prioritize enemies that can slow you in a situation like that, so web spitters, NATO sites, glyphid slashers. For example there, I let that slasher get a hold of me, and any other bugs that were with him would have got free shots on me because of it. So a grunt may run up and hit you, however you can run away from a grunt. Slashers, however, will take a chunk of you and leave you no escape. Especially deadly when paired with exploders, as obviously if your legs are broken next to a cook-off exploder, you're not going to be able to get very far. Alright, here's an oppressor, so I'll be able to show off that axe technique I was talking about a bit earlier. So as soon as he freezes, we're going to throw one axe cancel and throw a second axe. I was a little slow on it there, but the method stays the same. Decent amount of grunts. We're almost out of the mission, so there's no harm in burning most of our ammo at this point. Not sure what's bumping me right now. Is this roller? Is there a roller here? And sometimes you just gotta style on them. Let's go grab a little bit more ammo while we wait for Molly to run back, and then we'll get out of here. Oh, whoops. Get Bosco to take that Jade as we can get it in the pod. I should have remembered that. I saw it earlier. Good jump. And Bosco lost the Jade is good. It's a bug they've been having recently with Bosco, and it's very, very annoying. I'll see if he's able to get it. If not, we'll just leave without it. So this is what he does recently, is he'll just dig in all the way to it, miss it, and then leave it. It's very, very annoying. Well, it may cost me my life multiple times, but we're gonna get this Jadis, because now I'm determined. Come on, give me the rock. You fucked this up enough. Alright, good enough. One Bosco-related death. I'll take that. But that'll about do it for me today. I hope you enjoyed and maybe even learned something from this video. If you aren't already a member of our Discord, there's a link in the description. And if you'd like to ask me any burning questions, I'm live every weekday over on Twitch. You can find my schedule on my Twitch page. Giveaway will be ending in 2 days, so if you'd like a chance to get involved, now is absolutely the last chance. But regardless, if none of that piques your interest, thank you, and have a nice day.